Welcome back. This is lesson 7F, U.S. incarceration rates. And today's data or information could be sensitive, and I would like to ask you to focus on the data rather than any emotional or personal opinions or experiences you've had. Let's try to focus on the data. To begin, it says in the article for the preview assignment, you read about aspects of the American justice system that are actually unique in the world. At the time of this article, the United States had 2.3, here we go. Sorry, let me start over with that. Sorry. The United States had 2.3 million, there we go, criminals behind bars, which is more than any other nation, according to the data maintained by the International Center for Prison Studies at King's College London. Question number 1, the United States does not have the largest population in the world. List a few factors that you think might contribute to the United States having the most prisoners. This is a great time for you to hit pause, give some ideas and thoughts to question number 1, and then come back and I'll add a few comments to question 1. So some thoughts on question 1 are, there are longer sentences for minor offenses. It could be that more people are put in prison for nonviolent offenses, and there could be a higher crime rate. There could be more crimes with guns, and it could be that other countries deal differently with crimes and prisons aren't needed. The objectives for this lesson are that we will understand proportional reasoning. And we're going to do so by writing and examining ratios, rates, and percentages. We will also understand graphical displays and associated data. By the end of the lesson, we're going to be able to interpret ratios and percentages as rates of change. We'll also be able to compare 2 or more ratios and percentages, and we'll also be able to read and interpret graphical displays. Let's take a few minutes to process some more data. Let's consider additional information and data posted by the American Civil Liberties Union, the ACLU, on their Safe Communities blog. The United States has 5% of the world's population and more than 20% of the world's prison population. Since 1970, our prison population has risen 408%. 1 in 110 adults in the United States are living behind bars. And a few more pieces. Counting prison, jail, parole, and probation, 1 in 35 adults in the United States are under some form of correctional control. So let's look closely at the statistics given in each source and compare and contrast the information. We're now going to be looking at a lot of different pieces of data from what we just read and from other sources, and keep what you're about to do, keep following, write it out well, and we're going to keep coming back and comparing the information. We're going to start with question 2. If you had not hit pause and attempted number 2 by yourself, go ahead and do that. If you want to do questions 2 and 3, go ahead and do that, and then come back and we'll work these together. In October of 2015, the estimated United States population was 321.9 million, and the estimated population of the world was 7,276 and 3/10 million. Using these numbers determine if the United States percentage of the world's population matches the information on the previous page. So I'm going to take 321.9 million and I'm going to divide it by 7,276 and 3/10 million. In other words, taking the US population as a part to the whole of the world population. And when I punch these numbers in, I'm going to punch in 321.9 divided by 7276.3 and multiply by 100. and to the nearest hundredth, I'm getting 4 42/100%. Looking back at the data mentioned earlier from the ACLU, they mentioned that the United States has 5% of the world's population. Our calculations based on the 2014 data indicate that it's actually 4 42/100%, so almost 5%, but not exactly. Again, if you haven't stopped the video to work on the problems first by yourself, this is another good place to stop, work on all of part 3 or question 3, parts A through, let's see, that goes through E, and then come back and we'll work on these together. Sometimes my paper has missing letters, and this is one of those places. Question number 3. The New York Times article in the previous assignment said that in 2008, the United States had 751 people behind bars for every 100,000 Americans. Part A. How is that ratio different from the 1 in 110 described in the excerpt on the ACLU website? So let's do some calculations here. Let's take this 751 people behind bars and divide it by our 100,000 Americans. We can do some decimal moving. We can grab a calculator. I've got 751 divided by 100,000, and then multiply that by 100, and I get not a full percent from the New York Times. Now looking at part A, how is that ratio different from the 1 in 110? So 1 in 110. So this is one person behind bars for every 110 Americans. So again, grabbing a calculator, I'll do 1 divided by 110 times 100, and I get a little bit higher percentage. I get 0.909%. So 25%, or not even 25 hundredths of a percent different in between the ACLU website and the New York Times report. Let's move on to part B. Use the ratio from the New York Times article read in the preview lesson and the United States 2015 population given in question 2 to approximate the number of people behind bars in the United States in 2015. Our number from question 2 that we need to grab right now is this 321.9 million, 321 and 9/10 million people. Let's get that number and take it back with us to question number 3, part B. So the pieces and parts we're going to grab for question 3, part B, the number that we just grabbed from question 2, and the information up top about the 751 people for every 100,000 Americans. So I'm going to start there, that 751 people will be behind bars for every 100,000 Americans. That's our ratio to start with. Now the number that we have from question 2 is that there are 321 and 9/10 million Americans. So 321.9 million Americans. And the question is, so if there's a ratio of 751 part in bars to every 100,000 Americans, then let's look at the total population. How many are going to be an unknown behind bars for the entire 321.9 million, or 321,900,000. So I'm going to do some calculations. I'm going to multiply these two numbers together. I'm going to multiply these two numbers together, and I don't think I can write over here, nope. And then I'm going to divide out, in other words, I'll multiply 751 times my 321,900. I'll just go ahead and do that. So I've got clear a bunch of times, 751 times 321,900, oops, 751 times 321,900,000 equals, and then I'm going to divide that by 100,000 equals, and I'm getting for my x is 2,417,469. So with this population of 321.9 million, and with this ratio of 751 people behind bars for every 100,000, then this current population, or this population 2515, would indicate that there are about 2.4 million people behind bars. So a pause, looking at Part A. Part A, the New York Times article compared the number of people behind bars to the total population, which includes children. So this number includes a percentage with children included in the 100,000 being the Americans. However, the ACLU number only accounted for adults. So this number is only accounting for adults. Part B, when you look at the number that we have, it is telling us that there are about 2.4 million prisoners in the United States based on this 2015 population. It's getting pretty congested here, but let's keep going for C, D, and E. So now Part C, we're still talking about the New York Times article, and the ACLU blog said that the United States has more than 20% of all of the prisoners worldwide. Use this information and the approximate number of people in the U.S. jails that we just calculated, and that's this number right here, to determine the number of people incarcerated worldwide. So this is like when we had the Ted Cruz, David Dewhurst campaign in class, and we were asked or given a part of the, in that case it was an election, but right now we're given a part that says 0.20% or 20%, 0.20 of X of all of the prisoners worldwide. 20% of that is that number that we just found. I'm going to erase what I just wrote and give myself a little bit more space. In other words, right here, 20% of the entire worldwide imprisoned population is this 2,417,469 prisoners from the United States. So we'll divide both sides by the 0.20. So grabbing calculator again. I'm going to hit clear a couple of times and type in 2,417,469 and divide that by 0.20, and I get that worldwide there are 12,087,345 prisoners in the world, or about 12.1 prisoners worldwide. Moving on to Part D, what percent of the world's population is incarcerated if we use the world population given right here, the 7,276 and 0.3 million from 2015? What percent of the world's population, what percent of the world's population is incarcerated if we use the world population here and the number that we just calculated? And it would look like this. We're going to use 12, well, it's not going to matter how we do this. If they've got, let's go ahead and call this 12.087 million are incarcerated worldwide. And worldwide, the population is 7,276 and 0.3 million. So I'm going to put in all the numbers except million, and that would be 12.087 divided by 7,276 and 0.3. Then I'm going to multiply that by 100, and approximately I'm getting 16. Wait, let me do that one more time. 12.087, 12.087. Divide that by 7,276.3 equals, and when I multiply by 100, I'm getting not 16, I'm getting 0.17%. That's not a whole lot. The last part, Part E, asks us to compare the incarceration rate in the United States with the incarceration rate worldwide. So I've gone back up here to the top part of question 3, and I want us to grab this percentage right here, 751 thousandths of a percent, and I'm going to bring it down to Part E. So 0.751% is the incarceration rate in the United States. They want us to compare that with, so that's the United States, and they want us to compare that with the incarceration rate in the world. And so the incarceration rate of the world is the one that we just calculated on Part D, this number here. So one way to compare this is just to straight divide them, meaning that I'm going to punch in my calculator .751 divided by .17, and on my screen I get about 4.4. What this says is that the United States incarceration percentage rate is about 4 times as much as or more than the world's incarceration rate. Another way to look at this is to take our, right here, to take our percentage, .751, and then subtract the world's, put my 0 there, the world's incarceration rate. Grab a calculator, 0.751 minus 0.13, and then we can say something like the incarceration rate for the United States is about 62 hundredths percentage points more than the world's incarceration rate. We have gone through a whole lot of numbers, percentages, pieces of data we have pulled from all sorts of places. And so this might be one of those videos you want to look back at it, or look back and listen to different parts and pieces to make sure that you can read a question and then know where to go pull information and know how to manipulate the information, and then know how to interpret what it is you end up with. Before you go, there's one more thing. In the most recent assignments email that I have sent to you, I have asked you to complete this one survey question, and I've asked you to email your number to me, and I've asked you to be honest that in this course you have learned very little, you've learned about half of the material, or you've learned almost everything in the course. So whatever number you decide for yourself, either 0 or 0. Number 1, I've learned very little, or I'm kind of right here, I've learned about half, or oh yeah, I'm learning everything. Whatever your personal your personal number is, I've asked you to send it to me on email at stephanie.r.andrews@lonestar.edu. So if you haven't already done that, I need you to go ahead and send me your personal number. Again, remember, just be honest, no judgment. Be honest of where you think you are, and we'll be using it for data in our future lessons. Look at your syllabus calendar. If this is your last lesson for the week, then go do the homework. And if it's not, go read or listen to some more videos, and I'll see you at more videos.